The Hacker News Network presents HNN Cast with your host, Space Rogue.
HNN Cast is sponsored by Astaro, simplifying security, and by TrustWave Spider Labs, providing advanced information security services to planet Earth. Become a sponsor. Email sales@hackernews.com.
This is Space Rogue for the Hacker News Network, and this is HNN Cast for the first week of June 2011. Our top story this week, Lulzsec, who appeared on the scene out of nowhere just a few weeks ago and has already racked up a considerable resume. Starting with the release of the X Factor contestants from Simon Cowell's networks, followed closely by a Fox database dump and a few other notable attacks, they have also taken credit for completely pwning PBS and Sony. The attack on PBS included a defacement of the Frontline website, stating that Tupac was alive and well and living in New Zealand, as well as ownage of several databases, including usernames and passwords, taking over control of their Twitter accounts and several other Lulzsec targets. Lulzsec claimed that the initial hole was a 0-day they found in movable type. The attack on PBS was evidently in retaliation for the story Frontline did on Bradley Manning, Julian Assange, Adrian Lamo, and WikiLeaks. Frontline called the attacks disappointing and an irresponsible act and an attempt to chill independent journalism. I didn't know Frontline was considered independent. But Lulzsec didn't stop with PBS. They instead quickly turned their attention to everyone's favorite punching bag, Sony. Sony is just now starting to recover from the massive attack against its PlayStation network when Lulzsec hit them pretty deep and hard and pulled out the personal information of over 1 million users, including plain text passwords. They also grabbed several internal database dumps from Sony Pictures, contest details from Auto Traders and Seidfeld contests, and well over 3 million coupon codes. According to Lulzsec, the initial attack vector was everybody's favorite tool, good old SQL injection, of course. Several weeks ago, RSA discovered that it had suffered an electronic break-in, but released very few details as to the severity of the attack. Now it is fairly clear that the attack was in fact pretty significant and that the attackers knew what they were going after. Reports now indicate that several major defense contractors, including Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Level 3 Communications, have been targeted using attack vectors that indicate that the RSA Secure ID tokens have been completely compromised. If you're using Secure ID tokens, you should assume that you've been completely pwned at this point.
Greetings from the loft. Current stock tip in the hacker community seems to be dealing with Security Dynamics of Massachusetts. The makers of Secure ID scrambled the security problems in their one-time password token cards were presented to the net in the form of a white paper from ftp.secnet.com. The stock tip for Security Dynamics, NASDAQ ticker SDTI, seems to be sell short. With any luck, they will fix their problems in their product, and yet again we'll have a case of technology progressing due to hackers and security professionals worldwide.
Google has said that it has shut down a sophisticated social engineering attack on Gmail users that targeted the personal accounts of senior U.S. government officials, Chinese political activists, officials in several Asian countries, military personnel, and journalists. The attackers used spoofed email to their targets that appeared to come from a friend or colleague. The emails would direct the user to enter their password, which the attackers could then use to compromise the email accounts. Google says the attacks all originated in China.
It's those goddamn Mongolians again!
Hillary Clinton says that the FBI will investigate. Seriously, people, Google offers two-factor authentication. Use it. A YouTube video has surfaced recently that claims to show a compromised Fox News ticker outside Fox News HQ in New York City. The message that was supposedly played claimed that Fox and the right-wingers were lying to the American people. Fox, of course, has claimed that the whole thing was a hoax and really just someone rather skilled at video editing. Who knows? One thing to point out is that the original video seems to have been shot on May 9th, meaning that the perpetrator sat on this for 3 weeks before releasing it, which seems kind of odd. But does it really matter if this was a hoax or not? The message has still gotten out. We'll be back with more HNN Cast right after these messages.
Hey, this is Widget. You're watching Hacker News, Hacker News, Hacker News Network. Bye.
Welcome back to H&N Cast. The Cyber Cold War has begun to heat up just a little bit as China has publicly confirmed the existence of its online Blue Army. The Blue Army, a unit of the People's Liberation Army, is supposedly to be used only for defense. Yeah, right. And then, over in Korea, the South has accused the North of increasing its Reconnaissance General Bureau from 500 personnel to 3,000. Elsewhere, the Cyber Cold War continues as Israel has opened the doors of its new Cyber Command. The 80-person unit will be focusing on defending against cyber attacks and protecting local high-tech industries. Google has had a few issues with its online app stores and malware sneaking their way into the marketplace. At least 2 apps in the Chrome marketplace and over 26 apps in the Android marketplace had to be purged after they were found to be doing nefarious things. The apps were estimated to have been downloaded at least 30,000 times before they were removed. So, which is better, Google's open market or iTunes' walled garden? You decide. While Lulzsec has gotten the spotlight lately, Anonymous is still active and is continuing Operation Payback. One recent target was the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which, if you remember, was one of the organizations that originally hired security firm H.B. Gary Federal. Another target may soon be the IMF under Operation Greece, presumably in retaliation for the IMF's plan for Greece's economy. After telling their support techs not to acknowledge the existence of Mac malware, Apple has reacted to the recent Mac Defender Trojan by adding the Mac Defender definition to the file quarantine, along with an automatic update feature. The bad guys reacted quickly, however, and had a new version of Mac Defender out about 8 hours later. Hey Apple, take a lesson from Windows. Signature-based AV does not work. And Solo, aka Gary McKinnon, who is still awaiting a decision regarding his extradition to the U.S., received renewed hope after President Obama stated that the U.S. would respect whatever the British decided to do, and that the decision was now in the hands of the British legal system. Which, if you read between the lines, tells me that he is confident that Solo will be on U.S. soil soon. Janice Sharp, Solo's mother, has begun organizing a postcard campaign in an attempt to sway the decision of the Home Secretary. Postcards? What is this, 1973? That's it for big news. Normally we would have Tool Time next, but there was just way too much news for this episode to fit it all in. Tool Time will return next week. We will have the Quickies right after these messages.
Can we get an end-user license agreement, attorney, at Register 3?
I need you to sign here and here to read the book according to the terms of this agreement.
But I just want to buy the book. Why do I need to sign anything?
And now for a few quick stories Lulzsec found in my browser history files this week. Anthony Wiener, the New York's 9th District Congressman, had a picture of his, Wiener tweeted from his account last week. He originally claimed his Twitter account had been broken into until people started asking why he didn't report it to the police. Now I guess it's just a prank. Why can't we just label things for what they are all the time, the first time? Wiener. Gordon Ramsay, the celebrity chef of Hell's Kitchen and Kitchen Nightmares, has obtained a court order against Google after accusing his father-in-law of breaking into his email account.
Donkey!
While Sony, PBS, and RSA may be getting all the headlines lately, there are other big attacks going on. Honda Canada recently had the personal details of over 250,000 customers copied from its servers. Facebook has announced that they will be joining Google, Mozilla, and a few other firms in launching a bug bounty program. They are currently testing it now and hope to launch it soon. One major software company that still doesn't have such a program is Microsoft. I guess they want all their bugs sold on the black market instead. You may have heard of some 14-year-old kid who compromised Microsoft's Call of Duty servers and then ran phishing scams from them, and that Microsoft then hired the kid. Well, not true. At least the hiring part.
Roger that, command. Out.
Leading investment and securities company, a small South Korean brokerage house, was recently compromised, and the personal details of 12,000 of its customers was copied. The attackers then attempted to extort the company via email. The Financial Supervisory Service in South Korea is investigating, but actually blamed the brokerage house for its poor database security. The victim was blamed. About time. Brazil-based Komodo BR is at least the fourth Komodo partner to be compromised this year. According to Komodo's CEO, they were just a reseller and that no signed certs were issued as a result of the breach. He said, quote, "Nothing to report, really," unquote. Well, we beg to differ. If you happen to be using Allied Telesis networking products, you might like to know that everything they make comes with a secret backdoor pre-installed. It's not so secret anymore, though, after an internal document about the backdoors was discovered via a Google search. No! The day after Norwegian F-16s dropped bombs on Libya, the Norwegian military claimed it suffered an extensive cyber attack. The Norwegians say that no sensitive data was lost, and that only one machine was compromised. And that's all the quick stories that Lulzsec found in my browser history files this week. That means it's time for your Faux.
Faux is sponsored by Source Conference, a global security technology and business forum, and by Hack in Paris, an international IT security conference.
In the long-term planning department, Source Boston has announced its 2012 dates as April 17th through the 19th. And no more South Boston. They're moving to a new venue in the Theater District. Mark those calendars. The Black Hat Briefings, the more professional security conference that happens just before DEF CON, has announced the formation of a pretty impressive review board. Lots of big names in the review board who will now be charged with the very large task of actually selecting the talks for Black Hat. DEF CON is coming up quick. It's only like 2 months away. If you haven't noticed, the DEF CON webpage has been totally redone with all new info on DEF CON 19, including the full list of contests. All of your old favorites are returning, like Capture the Flag, Hack Fortress, Beverage Cooling Contest, the Cannonball Run, and of course, Hacker Jeopardy! Some contests that were new last year, like the Social Engineering Contest and the Tamper-Evident Contest, will also return this year. There are even some brand new and slightly unusual contests, like the Beard and Mustache Contest, and the DEF CON Bike Ride, yes, in the desert heat, and some more traditional contests like the Capture the Packet, a forensic analysis contest, and of course, the 10,000-cent Hacker Pyramid, my personal favorite. B-sides are popping up all over. Between now and August, you have B-sides events in St. John's, Canada, Pittsburgh, Connecticut, Vienna, Los Angeles, and of course, Las Vegas. And then later this fall, events in Missouri, Dallas, and Vienna. All of these are looking for speakers, volunteers, and of course, attendees. So go get involved. Oh, and speaking of B-sides, the voting for the logo and slogan contest has been opened. So go and vote already. Yes, we have the link in the comments at hackernews.com. This year's Chaos Computer Camp, happening in August, has announced its location as the Erswald Finau Airport. It's located about 25 miles north of Berlin, Germany, in a pine forest that contains Dr. Peter Koeb's private airplane collection. Definitely a unique site to hold a HackerCon. And now for the Stack of Shame, the list of all known open vulnerabilities as cataloged by the Zero Day Initiative.
Welcome to the real world.
That's it for this week's H&N Cast. I've been your host, Space Rogue, and you've been watching the Hacker News.
Remember, if you have any news you think we should report, send it to news@hackernews.com. You have been watching H&N Cast. This is Space Rogue for the Hacker News Network.
Funny do bad things.